Step into the spotlight.
Hey guys, Underground Geek here. And I know this has already been talked about, but I feel like there's a couple things that I may be able to add to the conversation a little bit. And see, that's why we do this. That's why we have these channels, because every one of us has a different point of view that we can add to the conversation. Something that somebody else may have missed, or something that somebody else may have interpreted differently because of the person that they are. You know, we're not part of a collective like some people would like us to think we are. I mean, just listen to the way I talk compared to the way Crumble Point talks. Crumble Point is another guy that has a YouTube channel. Check it out. So, as I was getting my things together to talk about this subject, I would just like to point one thing out. Okay, if you don't know who Heather Antos is, it's because you're a normal human being and no one knows who she is. She's not famous. She's not anybody special. She is a glorified secretary that works for Marvel that edits their comics. And she was an assistant editor up until she got harassed for buying milkshakes. She says she got harassed. We only saw 5 tweets. And the worst one was saying that they would sleep with her. But, I mean, I think that would be a compliment. But anyway, I'm not a cis female. So, anyway, so she's assistant editor. Now she's been editing things, and they keep giving her these projects that like no one else does. Like they keep making her like now she's editing Deadpool versus Old Man Logan. She's doing a terrible job because the comic's boring as crap. But I would just like to point out that they keep giving her these jobs. She's now become that go-to person, it seems like, for these comics that no one else wants to do. She does the Star Wars ones. She does Gwenpool because she looks like the character. They basically made her into that character. She also has a couple of other things. But anyway, yeah, I always get interrupted when I'm trying to do a video. But anyway, so she basically edits things that nobody else wants to do, Star Wars and a couple other things. And she got her job by editing one book, one anthology book that she had ever done, one. And she got hired on at Marvel, the biggest comic book company in the history of ever. Now, they suck right now because they produce 100 books and 50% of them sell under 20,000 copies. But they used to be a big name, and they still carry a big name. It'd be like if you had changed one tire on a car and then Ford hired you to start building cars. That's what it equates to. But anyway, so I had no idea who she was when she first started. Her photo popped up, and it was one of those cartoonish photos on the people you may know, you know what I mean, on my Twitter. And when I started out with my Twitter, I changed it over to a business type Twitter for comic books. Not really business type, but like a comic book themed type account talking about comic books when I had around 180 followers, okay? And I had been told who Diversity Comics was, who Captain Cummings was through YouTube and a couple other things. And I kind of watched their videos, and I semi-liked what they talked about and a couple other people. So Diversity Comics has been around comic books for 20 to 30 years now. So if you're going to ask anybody about somebody that works in comics, wouldn't you ask somebody that knows about comics? Like if you go to buy a lawnmower at John Deere, you're going to ask the guy that already has a John Deere, okay? So I asked him, I had screenshotted her profile picture, sent it to Diversity Comics without tagging her, and said, hey, do you know about this person? Is she nice? Is she a SJW? She seems kind of like a SJW. I'm not sure. I don't know who she is. And he said, oh, no, she's cool. That's all he said. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, oh, she's all right. Okay. So I didn't think anything of it. I went ahead and I think I added her. Well, then just a couple hours later, she comments on that tweet. I don't know how she found it, and then says, actually, I've been professional in comic books for 4 years now. Thanks for asking. And I was like, wow, what's going on here? So then when I go to comment, she has already blocked me. So she blocked me for asking about her. That's the kind of person Heather Antos is. So now the word has kind of got out who she is in a bad way. She was nobody, and now she's somebody that's known as a jerk and a shut-in. I'm paraphrasing. That's just basically what she's done. She has no interactions with people unless they are commenting about how much they love her work. And who comments on an editor's page about a comic book? They had nothing to do with that comic book other than making sure people's words are spelled correctly, and then she can't even do that. Why would you go on Scott Snyder's comic book that he's working on, find the editor, and then comment on the editor, oh, we love your work, we love it. No, you're going to talk to Scott Snyder. But anyway, so that's the only people that she ever interacts with. And also she has a weird obsession with penguins, I'm not sure. So now that I've kind of set the stage for who she is, her Twitter says Marvel comic book editor, Force user, Chimichanga curator, possibly Gwenpool. So she's not even denying the fact that they've, made the character after her. She puts on there that she's a Marvel comic editor, trying to use that for fame, and then she tags Marvel in the Twitter account. And she doesn't even realize that when you do that, that you need that professional. So I would just also like to point out that when I was pulling this up here, there's another Twitter that has popped up in the last 2 weeks called Gary Drama. Nobody knows who he is, but I'm pretty sure we've kind of figured out who he is. It's a Sock Puppet account. They showed up at the same time that Melissa Morg, which is also a Sock Puppet, popped up and started harassing Captain Cummings and harassing Diversity in Comics, and then when they called him out on him, started claiming that they were harassing them. That classic old thing of, I can bother you, but you can't bother me kind of type thing. Don't question why I'm bothering you, basically. Well, she retweeted something that he said. He said, if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss shouts back, prove it, 10,000 times without ever listening to a word you say. So he's extremely pretentious. And the comic book, the Twitter account says, just a man about town looking for drama. Yeah, nobody says that, so obviously this is probably a female. Has 54 followers. Why is Heather Antos retweeting someone that has 54 followers? Exactly. But so the other day she puts out a Twitter tweet drama story about the hashtag #MeToo deal. And the hashtag #MeToo thing, if you don't know, is a Twitter trend started about people that have been raped and harassed to speak out against it in the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. And it has turned into an excuse for everyone to get attention. And the reason I say that is because she went on there and basically attacked anyone that was a male, saying that they had no right to talk about this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That is the most sexist thing I've ever heard. How is she still working at Marvel when she's telling male and boy rape victims that they have no right to speak out? That's the most sexist and terrible thing I've ever heard a woman say. And let's just read what she said here. She said, I've become incredibly frustrated by many cis males' comments on numerous hashtag #MeToo posts. If you, as a cis male, have been the flood of posts by your friends and become so uncomfortable by them that you feel the need to comment, but I, not all men, or any other phrase that in any way mentions that you're one of the good ones, you're part of the problem. For sure, that's not all what this thread is about. This isn't about silencing male victims. This is about the good men trying to silence women. Sounds like you're trying to silence people. And so let's see if I can find some of the responses here. She's got a lot of comments on some of these. Some of them are mean. Some of them are just downright pandering to what she's trying to say. But somebody says the same thing can apply to women too. I like that. And then says somebody says, "What's the origin of hashtag #MeToo? I started seeing it all over my timeline a few days ago. Did something happen to a famous person?" And they said, "No, it's a feminist using the Weinstein controversy to make the conversation about them." Exactly. Like Antos are quickly excluding male victims. And then I Love Comics says something about Alyssa Milano started. He's also a good YouTuber. You did follow him. And somebody said, shouldn't there be a word for women constantly lecturing men? Yeah, it's called womansplaining. If they can have mansplaining, there can be womansplaining. Sorry, I mansplained that. Don't get upset. So basically everybody's just kind of calling her out on it. And the ones that are supporting her There's very few and far in between. I noticed that people that are commenting on this in a negative manner are immediately posting the picture where they are blocked by her, because she doesn't want to hear what you have to say. She wants to pander, and then she wants to go to Starbucks and listen to 90s Will Smith rap music. I'm not kidding. It's on her Twitter. So she basically goes off on this tangent, and I would just like to point out one thing. How dare you talk that way about male rape victims? If you can imagine a more horrible thing to happen to a person being a female, imagine it happening to a male. A male, which is a masculine protector, is then emasculated and raped or assaulted by someone else. I say someone else because it can be a male or a female. There's a lot more people out there that have been harassed, raped, and molested that are male than you know of, Heather Antos. You need to get outside your bubble, and you need to figure out that you need to think before you speak. Honestly, if I was Marvel at this point, I would go to your office. I'd say, hey, Heather, we need to talk. First of all, I need you to delete your Twitter account. And also, I need to see your cell phone right now, because we're going to take your cell phone up for the entirety of your workday. So every day you come in, I want you to put your cell phone in a box at the front desk. And I only want you to tweet on this work computer through a new account that we're going to give you. And on that new account, I want you to only talk about comics. I guarantee you their sales would go up. And she's a nobody. She's a nobody, but ever since the milkshake thing, it's blown up. And that just goes back to, I want to get back on subject here. You have no right to talk about other people and what they have the right to say, okay? Because you have no credentials to talk about this. You are not a rape victim. You are not a sexual harassment victim, because you have not ever stated that. You have never made the case. You only got a comment said to you one time on Twitter with a photo of your friends at a milkshake factory or milkshake store. That's the only thing that ever happened, because you never said anything else, so we have nothing to go on. And I understand that people that are raped and harassed don't want to talk about it. That's the reason that men aren't coming out and talking about this kind of thing. And when they do, this is what happens. They get shut down. They get told to shut up, because it's not about them. It's all about putting the females in this particular group on a pedestal. They want to be better than anyone else. They've never been better than anyone else, so they're taking this opportunity to set up on a pedestal and be better than everyone else. They need to hashtag be better at being a good person. That's what they need to concentrate on. It's sick. It's I don't know. There's not much else you can say about it that I haven't already said. But when you go out and say these kind of things, like you have no right to talk about this, you need to work on being better. Then she says something else here. Let's see if I can find it. Then someone asked her why Griharu is not on Gwenpool anymore. I told you that if Griharu, the artist, ever got off of Gwenpool, I'd probably drop it. She said that they're coming back the next arc, but I may still end up dropping it now. They're the only reason I followed it. What else does she say here? She basically she just went on to basically tell everybody that they had no right to say anything. So, but I don't know, guys. I mean, this is messed up. Like, how's Marvel? And the tweets are still there. If you go to her Twitter, it's still there. And then she goes right on talking about Old Man Logan and Deadpool. Like it's no big deal. I mean, this person has no respect for anyone. The only one that she has respect for is herself. And the problem is she goes to this New York office to work, goes in her little office, and just tweets all day. And has no interaction with any other people, and doesn't realize the thing that she says is mean, because like the video that Doug Ernst did on Tom Brevoort one time during the interview, check that out. Doug Ernst is on Twitter and on YouTube. But they're basically having a conversation. Tom Brevoort is a big-time editor. He's like the vice president of editing. And he's talking with a bunch of other people about a comic book, and basically they look at the comic book, tell him their thoughts on it, and then he gives his thought. And it's his comic book that he's edited. Now, I say it's his comic, but all he did was edit it. And everyone says, oh, it's the greatest thing. It's 22 pages of awesomeness, one of them said. It's awesome. It's awesome. And then he looks at one of the pages and he says, well, I don't know if I like all this blue on its back. You know, it's probably the one thing that I do see wrong with it, but, you know, blah, blah. They didn't even have enough gumption to tell him that they didn't like that picture. And then he goes and tells them that, and then just goes on and does it anyway, just puts it out anyway. He says, well, I probably would have changed this, but oh well, it's done. You know? And that's kind of the thing that Heather's being trained in right now. She's getting trained that everything's okay, nothing's ever bad. Even if it sucks, it's still okay, print it. You know? And that's the problem that we're having right now. But that's all I want to talk about. I kind of want to put my word out about the situation and talk about how terrible this is and how she's belittling the pain that other people may have went through. And she's really shown no proof that anything's ever happened to her. But let me talk about something I don't know about. You know what I mean? And you may say, well, why are you talking about that kind of thing? Well, there was an incident that happened to me when I was younger. And that's all I want to talk about it, because it was a terrible thing. And this is how real people react when something terrible happens. They don't go telling every stranger that they meet on Twitter, hey, did you know this happened to me? No. You keep it to yourself because it's a shameful thing that happened. Well, that's all I got to say. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. And have a great day, guys. Underground Geek out.